Hello and welcome to episode 364 of the Daily Sales Message Podcast, where every single day I share a piece of simple and actionable advice. It's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff too. In today's episode, we are talking about something which I call the defensive model. And this is something I created. I work with a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs that are trying to differentiate from the competition. How do you differentiate from the competition? Well, there's actually quite a few ways you can do it. Nearly 100 different ways you can do it. Strategies, great and small, lots of different things. One thing that seems to work really well, and as a concept it's simple to explain. It's much harder, of course, to put this into practice in your own business, but you can give it a go. And it's called the defensive model. And in the defensive model, we essentially do this. We take, ideally, 4 elements that are absolutely necessary to create the perfect outcome that you create. So what are the 4 perfect elements that have to be there? And then we present them essentially as a buyer's guide. So we can say that to create a clear sales message, you need these 4 things, this, and this. That's how you do it. It's kind of like a buyer's guide. But where it really comes into its own, it becomes a defensive model, is when we compare that against the competition. So at Clear Sales Message, we do all those 4 things. So we're definitely the right choice for you. If you go to one of our competitors, I think you'll find they only do 2 out of the 4. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. But they're missing these 2 things. And from experience, if those things are missing, you don't get the end result. So the defensive model is essentially looking at what's the outcome you provide. What's the perfect way to achieve that outcome? Ideally split into 4 distinct sections. And then we can compare using those sections against your competitors. And we've essentially standardized the comparison. We've made it easy for your buyer to compare between the potential people they're going to be buying from and working with, because we're telling them what to look for, we're telling them what matters. It's kind of like a very simple buyer's guide. And the hope is that the 4 things that you select, which you are the best at, your competitors aren't very good at. That's kind of the implication and the idea. But if nothing else, it standardizes how your buyer chooses between the options they have, makes their life easier, and hopefully makes you a no-brainer. So, like I say, very simple and logical to understand, a lot more harder to put into practice. One of the things I create for my Clear Sales Message clients, but the defensive model is extremely powerful once you get it to work. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Tomorrow in episode 365, that means it's been 1 year of the Daily Sales Message. So I'm just going to do a regular episode, not going to do anything special because I'm like that. So tomorrow we're just going to be talking about a rotating message. I'll explain what that is in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, if you haven't already, and it's been a year now, 365 days. If you've listened to more than one of these, if I could ask you to do it, it'd be wonderful. But if you could subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share, interact with some way, whether you're watching this on YouTube, listening to it on Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice, any interaction that you can have with the podcast will just help us to reach more people. Thank you for listening or watching all the way to the end. I do appreciate it. I'll catch you tomorrow for our first anniversary edition of the Daily Sales Message.